Hello, friends. Today, I will reveal a story that has haunted one family for decades. This is the hidden life of a forgotten camcorder, once belonging to Alex's adoptive mother, Grace. What secrets lie buried within the footage, and what truth has been kept from them? Prepare for a chilling exploration of love, fear, and the shadows lurking just out of frame. Watch closely. Alex stood in the dim light of the attic, the air thick with dust and the scent of forgotten memories. A box, heavy with the weight of time, caught their eye. Curiosity tugged at them, a familiar yet unsettling feeling creeping into their chest. They knelt down, fingers trembling slightly as they brushed away the cobwebs. Inside, a jumble of old photos and trinkets lay nestled among the remnants of a life that felt both familiar and foreign. As Alex sifted through the artifacts, a small camcorder emerged, its surface scratched and worn. A pulse of recognition flickered in their mind. It had belonged to Grace, their adoptive mother. They could almost hear her soft voice narrating family moments, a warmth that had always felt like home. But today, that warmth felt different, tinged with a chill of uncertainty. With a hesitant breath, Alex pressed the play button. The screen flickered to life, revealing a younger version of themselves, gleefully running through a park, laughter erupting like bubbles in the air. But as the footage continued, a shadow slipped into view. James, their biological uncle, who had a way of hovering just out of frame, his expression unreadable. The laughter faded, replaced by a muffled conversation between Grace and a voice they couldn't quite make out. They leaned closer, straining to catch the words. "You have to protect them. They don't need to know." Grace's voice flowed through the speakers, a soothing melody now discordant with a strange undertone. The room grew silent, except for the low hum of the camcorder. Alex's heart raced, confusion swirling in their mind. What was Grace protecting them from? What truth was buried beneath the layers of affection and laughter? As the video played on, snippets of conversations floated to the surface like debris in a still pond, each one a reminder of the carefully constructed facade. "It's better this way," Grace had said, her voice a mixture of love and fear. "They'll never understand." Alex felt a knot form in their stomach, a creeping anxiety coiling tighter with every revelation. The questions they had buried deep began to claw their way back to the surface. Was their entire life built on a lie? Could they trust the memories they held dear? Or were they just fragments of a story crafted to conceal painful truths? Suddenly, a wave of nausea rolled over them, the weight of the realization crashing down like a tidal wave. They stumbled back, the camcorder slipping from their fingers, landing with a soft thud on the attic floor. The image on the screen faltered, but the echoes of Grace's voice lingered in the air, haunting and unresolved. Alex's breath quickened as they pressed a hand against the wall, steadying themselves. This was the moment everything began to shift. The fragile trust they had placed in their family felt inherently flawed, the seams of their life unraveling. They had always believed in the unity of their family, but now the cracks were widening, revealing hidden betrayals. Turning the camcorder off, Alex sat in the dim light, enveloped in a cocoon of uncertainty. The question hung heavy in the air. An uninvited companion. Could they ever truly trust the stories their family had woven? Or were they destined to unearth a past better left buried? The silence echoed around them, a stark reminder that every memory held a shadow, and every story had its secrets. The late afternoon light filtered through the kitchen window, casting soft shadows on the tiled floor. Alex stood at the threshold, the door slightly ajar, a metaphorical barrier between safety and the unknown. The air carried a mixture of warmth and tension, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. "Mom?" Alex's voice wavered, each syllable laced with a nervous anticipation. They hesitated, fingers brushing the cool metal of the door handle, contemplating whether to step fully into the room or retreat back into the safety of uncertainty. Grace was at the kitchen table, her back turned, stirring a pot that bubbled quietly on the stove. The rhythmic clanging of the spoon against the pot felt dissonant against Alex's racing heart. She paused for a moment, sensing the weight of the atmosphere shift, and then continued her task, as if the stirring could somehow blend away the unspoken truths hovering in the air. "Can we talk?" Alex pressed, stepping inside, the door creaking softly behind them. A sliver of sunlight illuminated a family photo on the wall. Smiling faces frozen in time, unaware of the fractures lurking just beneath the surface. Grace turned, the corners of her mouth twitching into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Of course, honey. What's on your mind?" Her voice was warm but strained, a practiced tone that didn't quite match the tension coiling in the room. Alex took a deep breath, searching for the right words, but all they found was the echo of unanswered questions. "I found something in the attic, about my adoption." The admission hung in the air, heavy and charged, like a storm cloud waiting to burst. Grace's expression shifted, the smile fading as her eyes narrowed slightly. "The attic?" she echoed, the casualness of her tone belied by the tightening of her jaw. "You shouldn't go digging around up there. It's not—" "Not what?" Alex interjected, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "Not important? Or not true? Because it feels very true to me." The words spilled out, raw and unfiltered, a crack in the carefully curated facade they had maintained for years. Grace's gaze dropped to the table, her hands fidgeting with the wooden spoon. "Alex, please, I don't want you to get hurt." Her voice trembled slightly, a mix of love and fear that only added to the growing tension. "But isn't it worse to keep me in the dark?" Alex's voice rose, a desperate plea for understanding. "I need to know. Who am I really? What's the truth?" The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. The tension felt palpable, a shared breath caught between them. Grace finally looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, revealing the emotional fracture lines that had long been concealed. "Sometimes, the truth can do more harm than good, Alex. I just wanted to protect you." "Protect me or protect yourself?" The words slipped out before Alex could rein them in, the bitterness of accusation slicing through the air. "You're not being honest. I can feel it." The kitchen seemed to shrink around them, the walls closing in as the weight of their shared silence bore down. Grace shifted in her seat, her expression a tumult of love and regret. "I never meant to lie to you. I thought I was doing the right thing." "By hiding things?" Alex's tone softened, the anger giving way to a raw vulnerability. "Mom, I don't want to lose you, but I can't keep living in a lie. What if the truth is worse than I imagined? What if it tears us apart?" Grace's breath hitched, her gaze flicking toward the door as if contemplating escape. But the open door stood there, an invitation to face the truth, to step into the light rather than linger in the shadows. "I don't know if I have enough courage," she whispered, the admission a crack in her armor. Alex's heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling within them, fear, longing, and a desperate need for connection. Maybe we both need to find that courage. Together. The question lingered, unresolved, as the shadows around them deepened, leaving a fragile silence in its wake. Would they dare to break the barriers of silence, stepping into the unknown for the sake of truth? Or would love's instinct to protect continue to overshadow the painful but necessary revelations waiting just beyond the threshold? The afternoon light filtered through the living room window, casting a golden hue over the well-worn furniture that had seen years of family gatherings. Alex sat cross-legged on the couch, a faded family photograph cradled in their hands. The image, a snapshot of happier times, depicted smiles and laughter, but in Alex's mind, it felt like a mask, hiding the fractures beneath. Old footage, videos from when I was younger. There are things in them that don't add up. Grace placed the mug down, her hands shaking just enough to rattle the porcelain. Alex, those videos were from a different time. We were just trying to protect you. Protect us all. Protect us from what? Alex pressed, leaning forward, a mix of frustration and desperation igniting their resolve. We're acting like everything is fine, but it feels like there's this massive wall between us, and I can't pretend anymore. The air thickened, and an invisible weight pressed down upon them. Alex could see the flicker of pain in Grace's eyes, a reminder of the secrets she carried like a hidden burden. The photograph, once a symbol of unity, now felt like a reminder of the fractures they were uncovering together. Sometimes, it's better to leave the past in the past. Grace's voice was quiet, but the defensiveness was unmistakable. What you're asking, it could change everything. Isn't that the point? To know the truth? To be honest with each other? Alex's voice cracked, emotions spilling over the edge of their composure. I don't want to keep pretending like it's all okay when it's not. As silence enveloped them, the tension twisted in the air, palpable and suffocating. Grace's gaze dropped to the floor, her reflection in the photograph, a reminder of happier times, now felt like a bitter irony. Can we even talk about these things without everything crumbling? Grace's whisper barely broke the silence, but it echoed in Alex's mind, the question lingering like a specter between them. Maybe not, Alex admitted, their heart racing. But isn't that better than hiding? Isn't the pain of discovery better than the pain of staying in the dark? Grace's eyes glimmered with unshed tears, and for a moment, the love between them felt almost tangible, yet fraught with the weight of hidden truths. I just want to protect you, Alex, she pleaded, her voice a mix of fear and frustration. Protect me from what? Alex asked again, their insistence rising above the tension. From understanding who I really am? From knowing my own story? The photograph slipped from Alex's fingers, hitting the ground with a soft thud. In that moment, the silence was filled with the echoes of everything left unsaid, and the fragile facade of familial harmony began to tremble as the air crackled with unaddressed emotions. The question hung heavy between them, a web of uncertainty and fear. Can hidden family wounds be voiced without tearing apart the relationships that hold them together? Alex stood at the edge of the dimly lit living room, the air thick with unspoken tension. The shadows flickered against the walls as if mirroring the turmoil inside them. Every heartbeat pulsed with a blend of apprehension and fury, a potent cocktail that threatened to bubble over. Across the room, James leaned against the mantelpiece, arms crossed, his posture radiating hostility. You're looking for something that doesn't exist, Alex, he said, his voice low and gravelly, each word dripping with an unsettling calm. The challenge in his tone ignited Alex's frustration. "I know you're hiding something. I saw the footage, those tapes in the attic. You can't just pretend they don't matter." They shot back, their voice trembling with a mixture of defiance and desperation. The churning emotions were a raw wound, and each exchange with James felt like pouring salt into it. James's eyes flared with a flicker of anger, but he quickly masked it with a sneer. "Footage? What you think you saw doesn't mean anything. You're digging into something you should leave alone." His dismissive tone cut deeper than a knife. The uncertainty that had been gnawing at Alex's insides tightened its grip, pushing them further into a vortex of confusion and rage. With every word exchanged, the space between them contracted, coiling with palpable animosity. Alex felt the weight of their own fear, the fear of being cast out, of unearthing truths that could shatter the fragile fabric of their family. Yet they couldn't back down. Not now. Not when the stakes were so high. "You're wrong," Alex pressed, a spark of anger igniting their voice. "I deserve to know the truth. Who am I really? What happened?" James's expression hardened, the walls around him fortifying as he shifted his weight, his body language an impenetrable fortress. "Knowing the truth won't change who you are. It'll only bring pain," he retorted, his tone laden with veiled menace. The crude denial echoed in the room, a twisted reminder that the bond of blood did not equate to love or loyalty. As they locked eyes, Alex felt the sting of betrayal hit home. This wasn't just about their identity. It was about family, and here stood a man who might hold the key to their past. Unwilling to share, entrenched in a defense that felt more like a shield against accountability than protection. A fragment of the Chronicle footage flashed in Alex's mind, the blurry figures on the screen, whispers of secrets that had long been buried. They had to break through, to shatter the silence that enveloped James like a thick fog. "You can't keep hiding, James." Alex's voice was fierce now, though it trembled at the edges. "You think you're protecting me, but you're just protecting yourself. What are you afraid of?" The question lingered in the space between them, crackling with unresolved tension. James recoiled slightly, an imperceptible crack in his armor, but quickly regained his composure. "You don't understand. Some things are better left alone. You think you want the truth, but trust me, you don't." The silence that followed was deafening, the weight of their words heavy in the air. Alex felt the surge of doubt and anger boiling inside them, the urge to confront the discomfort, to challenge the guarded man before them. Yet, they also felt the pull of familial loyalty, the gnawing responsibility to protect what little remained of their family ties. Could they truly break through the wall of hostility without losing themselves in the process? The question loomed like a black cloud, threatening to overshadow their resolve. In that moment, the living room felt like a battleground, the stakes steepened by the haunting specter of unacknowledged truths. And with each heartbeat, Alex knew they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Either the collapse of fragile familial bonds or the painful birth of a truth that could set them free. Alex sat on the floor of the attic, surrounded by dust motes illuminated by the fading afternoon light, sifting through boxes that had not been opened in years. Each piece of paper, each photograph felt like a puzzle piece just out of reach, obscured by the weight of family secrets. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding as Alex uncovered old newspaper clippings and faded letters, desperate to connect the dots of a past that had been deliberately hidden. With each item discovered, resolve solidified in Alex's chest, battling the doubt that clawed at the edges of their mind. A photograph slipped from their fingers, a small child with bright eyes, laughter frozen in time. The caption read, "Family Reunion, 1998. The warmth of the moment felt like a betrayal. This was a family that had never truly been theirs. Alex shoved the photo into a folder, feeling the heat of anger rising inside. They were determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. But just as the determination rose, the door creaked ominously. James appeared, his shadow darkening the doorway. "What are you doing up here?" His voice was tinged with hostility, the underlying threat unmistakable. It was the same tone he used when he wanted to silence questions or deflect scrutiny. "I'm looking for answers," Alex replied, forcing the words out through clenched teeth, each syllable a battle against the tremor in their voice. The air thickened between them, an electric charge that buzzed like an oncoming storm. James stepped closer, his expression a mask of impatience and anger. "You need to stop this. The past doesn't matter. It's what we make of our lives now that counts." Alex met his glare, a spark of anger igniting in their chest. But what if the past is what's been holding us hostage? What if the truth will set us free? His laugh was cold, devoid of humor. Truth? Or just more pain? You really think digging into this will bring you peace? You're playing with fire, Alex. A wave of doubt crashed over Alex, but beneath it lay a simmering resolve. They couldn't back down now. The weight of family secrets pressed down on them, making it hard to breathe. "This isn't just about me anymore. It's about all of us. Your lies, our family, everything is based on deception." James's eyes darkened, the atmosphere crackling with tension. "You think you're the only one hurt by this? You're being naive. You'll destroy what little we have left." The hostility spilled over, and Alex felt the walls closing in. Suddenly, the attic doors swung open wider, a gust of wind blowing in, rustling old papers and sending a chill down Alex's spine. It felt like an invitation, a symbol of the open door to truth that they desperately needed, yet feared to cross. Is it worth it? Alex thought, the question hanging in the air, unasked but palpable. Could they confront their family without shattering the fragile remnants of trust? Or would this quest for truth only deepen the fractures? James stepped forward, invading their space, his voice low and threatening. "I won't let you ruin this family, Alex. I won't stand by while you dig up dirt that's better left buried." The tension snapped as Alex felt their heart race. "No more hiding. I need to know who I am." The clash of wills felt like a storm brewing, each heartbeat a reminder of the stakes at play. As James's expression hardened, Alex clenched their fists, the resolve within them hardening like steel. They were ready to confront the storm, whatever it took. The attic was stifling, dust motes dancing in the waning light that filtered through the small window. Alex felt a wave of disorientation wash over them, the air thick with the scent of forgotten memories. They rummaged through boxes, the sound of crumbling cardboard echoing in the silence. Each item they touched a jolt of curiosity mingled with dread. What secrets lay buried here? Then their fingers brushed against a cool metallic object, a small battered VHS tape labeled simply, "Family Memories." Heart racing, Alex's pulse pounded in their ears as they fished it out, the weight of it heavy in their palm. Memories? Or lies? They took a breath, steeling themselves for what could be a revelation or a betrayal. The old VCR sputtered to life, transforming the dim attic into a flickering portal to the past. The screen flickered, revealing a grainy image of their childhood home. A backyard birthday party, laughter echoing through the air like a haunting melody. But as the video played, something felt off. The camera's angle shifted, revealing not just the joy, but the shadows lurking behind the smiles. Then, a figure stepped into view. James. His face, once a familiar sight full of affection, now seemed sinister under the harsh light of the video. The camera panned to a conversation between Grace and James, their voices muffled but the tension palpable. Alex leaned closer, heart thudding in their chest. "It's for their own good, Grace," James said, his tone clipped, eyes darting nervously. "We can't let them know. Not yet." The words hit like a punch, igniting a firestorm of confusion and anger within Alex. The realization of deception rippled through them, the warmth of family memories morphing into icy dread. What was this? A betrayal? The truth they had searched for seemed to morph into a twisted web of lies. The scene shifted again, revealing a fragment of a conversation that sent Alex spiraling, the words slicing through the air like glass. They deserve to know. But can we trust them to understand? Grace's voice trembled, filled with uncertainty. Anger surged, hot and fierce, pushing the confusion aside. Alex shot up from the floor, the tape still playing in the background, images flashing by like a fever dream. Each frame felt like a dagger, piercing the facade of their family. How could Grace, who had always seemed protective, allow this betrayal to exist in the shadows? The tape ended abruptly, leaving Alex staring at a blank screen, their reflection distorted and broken. In that moment, they felt the full weight of the truth crash down upon them. A truth so destructive, it threatened to shatter the remnants of their already fragile sense of belonging. Tears burned in their eyes as they grappled with the question that loomed over them like a dark cloud. How could they accept this painful truth about James without allowing it to destroy everything they had ever known? The silence in the attic roared, a cacophony of doubt and determination, as Alex stood frozen between the past and a future that seemed impossibly unclear. They could feel the weight of the chronicle footage in their hands, a symbol of memory, truth, and the power of testimony. It was proof of what had been hidden. Yet it felt like a weapon poised to tear their family apart. With a deep breath, Alex steeled themselves. They had to confront this. They had to confront James. The air crackled with tension as they stepped toward the attic door, each stride echoing with the courage born of shock and determination. The way forward was paved with uncertainty. But one thing was clear. The truth, no matter how painful, could no longer remain buried. The attic smelled of dust and forgotten memories, the faintest light filtering through a grimy window, illuminating the scattered remnants of a life half remembered. Alex clutched the old family photograph in trembling hands, the edges worn and creased, faces smiling back like ghosts from a happier time. But behind those forced grins lay a chasm of secrets, and in that moment they felt the weight of betrayal pressing down like a heavy fog. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alex's voice cracked, the accusation laced with raw emotion. The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Grace stood across the room, her face a mask of shock, eyes wide with a mix of fear and guilt. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out, as if the truth had stolen her voice. "I thought I was protecting you," she finally managed, her voice trembling. "I wanted to shield you from the pain." "Pain?" Alex interrupted, fury igniting a fire within. "You think hiding the truth is protecting me? You've only left me in the dark, wondering who I really am." The photograph crumpled in their grip, a symbol of the fractured family bonds that now seemed irreparable. James stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a storm brewing behind his eyes. "I was just trying to keep our family together," he said, his voice a mix of defiance and hurt. "I thought if I didn't tell you, it would stay. Perfect. The word perfect echoed cruelly in the attic, mocking the very foundation of their family. Perfect was a facade, a brittle mask that shattered the moment the truth slipped through the cracks. Alex felt their heart shatter along with it, a symphony of anger and despair crashing together like waves against a cliff. Perfect? Alex's voice dropped to a whisper, the venom dissipating into vulnerability. You call this perfect? I don't even know who I am anymore. You've made me question every memory, every moment we've shared. With a sudden flash, Alex turned away, gripping the photograph tightly. You say you love me, but love shouldn't come with conditions. It shouldn't come with lies. The confession pierced the silence, raw and jagged, reverberating in the stillness. James stepped forward, a flicker of hurt crossing his face. You don't know what you're asking for, Alex. This is family. We protect each other, even from the truth. Protect? Alex laughed bitterly, the sound echoing off the attic walls. Or suffocate. You're terrified of what I might uncover. But it's not about you. It's about me. My life, my past. Can't you see that? The silence that followed was deafening. The weight of unspoken words pressed heavily on their shoulders. The photograph slipped from Alex's fingers, fluttering to the floor like a wounded bird. The air crackled with potential as they stood on the precarious edge of vulnerability. A tentative silence enveloped them, thick with the unspoken bonds of family, frayed yet yearning to mend. Grace's voice broke the stillness, trembling but filled with intention. We will face this together, one step at a time. As she spoke, Alex felt a flicker of warmth igniting within, the faint glimmer of rekindled trust. But the question lingered, settling over them like a fine mist. How could they nurture this fragile alliance while traversing the painful terrain of their past? In that moment, the open door behind them seemed more than just an invitation. It was a challenge to step into the light of honesty, to embrace the uncertainty and forge ahead together. The weight of their collective histories loomed large, but perhaps, just perhaps, it could also lead to something new. Authentic closeness built on the foundation of truth. Alex sat in Dr. Lena Patel's warm, inviting office, the walls adorned with calming colors and framed affirmations. Yet, despite the surroundings, a heavy cloud of despair hung over them. The air felt thick with unspoken fears and unanswered questions, weighing down Alex's chest. They fiddled with the hem of their shirt, glancing at the therapist, whose gentle eyes seemed to penetrate the barriers Alex had built around their heart. Tell me what's on your mind, Alex, Lena prompted, her voice soothing yet firm, encouraging Alex to lay bare their turmoil. I don't know where to start, Alex replied, their voice trembling. Everything feels like it's crumbling, and I'm terrified of what's underneath. The admission tore at them, a raw wound in the open air, and they felt vulnerable, as if standing naked before a crowd. Lena nodded, her expression encouraging. It's okay to feel that way. Uncovering the truth can be frightening. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes unwavering. What is it that scares you the most? Alex swallowed hard, the truth of their fears flooding in like a dam breaking. What if knowing the truth only makes things worse? They felt the weight of their own words, a paradox that twisted within them. What if my past? It shatters everything I thought I knew about my family, about myself. The room fell silent, the ticking clock highlighting each second of Alex's spiraling thoughts. They glanced at the door, its edges illuminated by the soft light spilling in from the hallway. The open door felt like an invitation, a beckoning into the unknown, but also a reminder of everything that lay beyond their comfort zone. Lena broke the silence, her voice a gentle anchor amidst the storm. You're not alone in this. Many people grapple with the fear of confronting painful truths. It's part of being human. But sometimes, facing those fears can lead to healing. Healing? Alex echoed, the word heavy on their tongue. Is it worth the pain? Will it really help me find where I belong? They fought against the tide of their own emotions, feeling the swell of despair threatening to pull them under. Yet, in the depths of their vulnerability, a flicker of hope ignited, a small flame amidst the darkness. Belonging is never easy, Lena said softly, her words wrapping around Alex like a comforting blanket. But true belonging comes from authenticity, from accepting who you are, even the parts that hurt. The open door is a chance to step into your truth. Alex stared at the door, their heart racing as the weight of Lena's words sank in. Could they muster the courage to face the truth? To confront Grace and James, not just for answers, but for the chance to rebuild trust? The question hung in the air, heavy and poignant. As Alex's thoughts tumbled over one another, they caught a glimpse of the possibility that lay before them. In the uncertainty, there was a whisper of strength urging them forward. I need to open that door, Alex finally said, their voice steadier than before. Even if it scares me. Lena smiled, a gentle encouragement that felt like a lifeline. That's a powerful realization, Alex. Acknowledging the fear is the first step toward embracing your truth. And in that truth, you may find the belonging you seek. As the session continued, Alex felt the tension within begin to ease, replaced by a burgeoning resolve. They knew the path ahead would be fraught with pain, but perhaps it would also lead to healing, the kind that could restore not just their sense of self, but the fragile bonds of family that had been tested by secrets and lies. The open door remained in view, a symbol of possibility, and with it, a question that lingered, challenging them to find the courage to step through. Alex sat in front of the camera, the soft glow of the screen illuminating their face. Heart racing, they could feel the weight of the world pressing down on them. The familiar walls of their room felt both comforting and suffocating, a paradox that mirrored the tumult in their soul. An open door behind them, slightly ajar, symbolized the threshold to a truth they could no longer ignore. Taking a deep breath, Alex steadied themselves. This is it, they thought. No turning back now. The video was meant to be a confessional, a release, but the reality of what they were about to unveil sent a shiver of doubt coursing through them. Would their family still love them after this? Would they be alienated forever? With the click of a button, the recording light blinked on. Hi, I'm Alex Morgan, they began, their voice trembling slightly. For 20 years, I've lived a lie. The words hung in the air, heavy and charged, like a storm cloud ready to burst. I've been adopted. But that's not the whole story. I need to share what I've learned, what I've uncovered. Images flashed in Alex's mind, the dusty attic, the old film reels, the grainy footage revealing fragments of a hidden past. I found something that shattered everything I thought I knew. Evidence of betrayal. Secrets that my family has kept from me. The tension in their voice sliced through the stillness of the room, echoing the emotional rift that now seemed insurmountable. As they spoke, the open door behind them felt like a portal, an invitation to the truth. Yet it also represented the chasm that had formed between them and the family they once thought they knew. Each word was laden with the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. James Morgan, my uncle, knew about this all along. He lied to me, to my mother. The camera captured the flicker of pain in Alex's eyes, a vulnerability that was both terrifying and liberating. He manipulated our family story, twisting it to fit his narrative. I thought I was part of something beautiful, but it was built on a foundation of lies. With each revelation, their resolve strengthened, like fire igniting in their chest. I refused to be silent any longer. I deserve to know who I am. We all do. The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, igniting a storm of emotions that mirrored their internal struggle. Anger, fear, and a flicker of hope mingled together. Could they really step through the open door and confront the shadows of their past? Would honesty lead to healing, or would it fracture their already fragile family bonds? As the video rolled on, Alex's voice grew steadier, the tremor giving way to a fierce determination. I'm not doing this to hurt anyone, but to heal, to reclaim my identity. I am not just a product of my circumstances. I am Alex Morgan, worthy of love and truth. And I challenge each of you, my family, my community, to face this with me. With a final, deep breath, Alex concluded, "What defines family? Is it the blood that binds us, or the love we share? Can we find true belonging through honesty, even when it hurts?" The words hung in the air, a lingering question that resonated with the unspoken fears of their heart. They stopped the recording, eyes glistening with a mix of fear and hope. A fear of what might come next, but hope for a future built on truth. The door remained open behind them, a symbol of potential and possibility. In that moment, they embraced the uncertainty, ready to step into the light of their own revelation, knowing that this was just the beginning. The room was steeped in an uneasy silence, punctuated only by the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Sunlight streamed through the open door, casting long shadows that danced on the floor, inviting yet unsettling. Alex stood at the threshold, heart pounding, acutely aware of the weight of the moment. This was their space, once a sanctuary, now a battleground of raw emotions and hidden truths. Grace sat on the edge of the couch, her hands clasped tightly together, knuckles pale against the rich fabric. She looked up, her eyes brimming with a mix of hope and fear. "I never wanted to hurt you, Alex," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" Alex echoed, disbelief twisting their gut. "By hiding the truth? By pretending everything was fine when it wasn't? How can we move forward if we can't even be honest?" The words hung heavy in the air, a challenge that echoed in the stillness. James leaned against the wall, arms crossed, his expression a mask of defiance, yet flickers of vulnerability betrayed him. "I was just trying to keep our family together," he said, his voice a mix of defiance and hurt. "I thought if I didn't tell you, it would stay. Perfect." The word perfect echoed cruelly in the attic, mocking the very foundation of their family. Perfect was a facade, a brittle mask that shattered the moment the truth slipped through the cracks. Alex felt their hearts shatter along with it, a symphony of anger and despair crashing together like waves against a cliff. Perfect? Alex's voice dropped to a whisper, the venom dissipating into vulnerability. "You call this perfect? I don't even know who I am anymore. You've made me question every memory, every moment we've shared." With a sudden flash, Alex turned away, gripping the photograph tightly. "You say you love me, but love shouldn't come with conditions. It shouldn't come with lies." The confession pierced the silence, raw and jagged, reverberating in the stillness. James stepped forward, a flicker of hurt crossing his face. "You don't know what you're asking for, Alex. This is family. We protect each other, even from the truth." "Protect?" Alex laughed bitterly, the sound echoing off the attic walls. "Or suffocate. You're terrified of what I might uncover. But it's not about you. It's about me, my life, my past. Can't you see that?" The silence that followed was deafening. The weight of unspoken words pressed heavily on their shoulders. The photograph slipped from Alex's fingers, fluttering to the floor like a wounded bird. The air crackled with potential as they stood on the precarious edge of vulnerability. A tentative silence enveloped them, thick with the unspoken bonds of family, frayed yet yearning to mend. Grace's voice broke the stillness, trembling but filled with intention. "We will face this together, one step at a time." As she spoke, Alex felt a flicker of warmth igniting within, the faint glimmer of rekindled trust. But the question lingered, settling over them like a fine mist. How could they nurture this fragile alliance while traversing the painful terrain of their past? In that moment, the open door behind them seemed more than just an invitation. It was a challenge to step into the light of honesty, to embrace the uncertainty and forge ahead together. The weight of their collective histories loomed large. But perhaps, just perhaps, it could also lead to something new. Authentic closeness built on the foundation of truth.